few years ago, I had a student who said, "The world is going to hell in a handbasket." Is it? Should one be optimistic or deeply pessimistic? I want to draw your attention to something Jesus said today in Luke chapter 11. After he speaks about casting out demons by the finger of God, he said, "This is an evil," or some translations say wicked, generation. A wicked generation seeks a sign. He's referring to earlier in the chapter when someone asked him to show a sign. Then he says, "No sign shall be given to it except the sign of Jonah." An evil generation, a wicked generation. Does that mean you write them off? Let me remind you of two things. As you read in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus is heading to the cross. He's going to be crucified and raised. But then Luke has a second volume, the book of Acts. And in Acts chapter 2, the Spirit's poured out, and very soon 3,000 and 5,000 are saved. A massive awakening. So even in an evil generation, let us not forget, where sin abounds, grace superabounds. And right around the corner could be an outpouring of God's Spirit if we prepare ourselves and if we're ready. You know, in the early 1700s in England, things looked pretty bad. There was huge alcoholism problems, there was cruelty, bear baiting, there was poverty, there was deep, deep, deep suffering in the country. A lot of people said they were on the road to a revolution, kind of like the one they'd had just a few decades before in France. Or I should say a revolution like they would have about a century later in France. But something happened. God touched the lives of three people, John and Charles Wesley and George Whitefield. And England was set aflame by the Wesleyan revival and the power of the preaching of Whitefield, which spread to Wales, spread to Scotland, even spread to Ireland. Where sin abounds, grace superabounds. And even an evil generation that Jesus is talking to is going to have a great outpouring of the Spirit around the corner. You ever despair when you're listening to the news or reading the paper? Be careful, because sometimes there are people who want you to be angry. Be careful to pray as much as you read, because God might just have an awakening around the corner, even for an evil generation. Where sin abounds, grace superabounds. This is your daily devotional for Monday. Hope you're doing well. Hope you'll seek first the kingdom of God and pray for awakening. Pray and pray and pray, and if you have to, pray for the next 50 years. May the Lord bless you, and pray for the church and pray for me, and look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you as you serve Him.